So, you've landed your first IT help desk interview. Awesome. But then that big question hits you. How in the world do you stand out when you don't have any professional experience? Well, don't worry. We're going to walk through a step-by-step guide so you can handle every single part of that interview with confidence and prove you're absolutely the right person for the job. Okay, let's just tackle this head on, because this is the core challenge, right? It feels like that classic catch-22. You need a job to get experience, but you need experience to get a job. But here's the good news. For an entry-level role like this, hiring managers are looking for way more than just a resume. They're looking for potential, for a logical mind, and for good people skills. We're about to build your playbook to show them you have exactly that. We're going to break this down into 4 key stages. First up, making that all-important first impression. Second, passing what I call the people test to show you can actually handle users. Third, showing off your technical logic, even if you don't know every single answer. And finally, sealing the deal with some killer questions that will make you impossible to forget. Let's get into it. Pretty much every interview you'll ever have is going to kick off with this classic. So tell me about yourself. Now, it might feel like small talk, but trust me, it's your first real test. What they're really asking is, can you communicate clearly? And can you connect your story directly to this job, right here, right now? Here is a super powerful formula you can use every time. Start with your passion, why you genuinely enjoy solving tech problems, then hit them with your technical creds. Mention that CompTIA A+ you worked so hard for. And this part's crucial. Talk about your hands-on experience. Don't just say you have a home lab. Tell them you set up a virtual machine to practice with Active Directory. You got to connect all of that back to the job description and then end on a really confident note, something like, I'm ready to contribute from day one. See, you're not saying, please teach me everything. You're saying, I've been preparing for this. All right, on to phase 2, the people test. Look, your technical skills get you in the door, but it's your people skills that actually get you the job. Interviewers are going to ask you behavioral questions to see how you handle pressure, to see if you'll keep your cool when some super frustrated user is yelling because their printer won't work. Again. This really just gets to the heart of it all. An IT help desk job is half tech, half people. I guarantee you, a hiring manager would much rather hire someone who is calm, patient, and easy to train than some technical genius who can't talk to another human being. They can always teach you the tech. They can't teach you how to be a good person. So you are definitely going to get this question. And what they're looking for isn't some crazy story. They just want to see your process. They want to know that you have a calm, structured way of thinking that can de-escalate tension and, actually solve the problem. The best way to answer any of these behavioral questions is with this simple but super effective framework. Problem, action, result. First, just briefly state the problem. Then describe the specific actions you took. And finally, explain the positive result. This structure shows them you're methodical and that you focus on getting things down. So let's put that framework into practice right now. A difficult user calls. What do? First, you listen. I mean, really listen and take notes. Then you empathize, acknowledge their frustration. Next, ask smart questions to get to the real root of the issue. Reassure them you're taking ownership of it. And this part is key. Offer solutions, but never ever promise something you can't deliver. Finally, show that you know when it's time to escalate the issue. That shows maturity and control. Okay, deep breath. We're on to the part that probably makes you the most nervous, the technical questions. But here's the secret. They don't expect you to be some senior engineer with all the answers. They're not looking for perfection. They are looking for a clear, logical thought process. They want to see how you think. A classic question is, what's the difference between TCP and UDP? Please don't just recite a textbook definition. Relate it to the real world. You can say something like, well, TCP is connection-based, so it guarantees delivery. Think of it like sending a certified package. You get a receipt. It's used for stuff like emails or file uploads where you need every piece of data. UDP is connectionless. It's way faster, but there's no guarantee. It's like streaming a video. If you miss a frame or two, it's not the end of the world. Simple, practical, and it proves you get the concept. You will almost certainly be asked about Active Directory, or AD. Don't overthink it. They just want to know you've heard of it and have a basic idea of what it does. A clean, simple definition is perfect. Just say it's Microsoft's directory service for managing everything on the network, users, computers, printers, all of it.
And if you want to really show you know your stuff, you can mention a few of its core functions. That it's used for managing user accounts, handling who can log into what, enforcing security rules with group policy, and of course the absolute bread and butter of the help desk, resetting passwords and unlocking accounts. Knowing these proves you get why it's so important in a corporate environment.
Okay, the dreaded I can't access the internet ticket. This could mean a million different things. The key here is to show you have a methodical process. So you'd start broad. First question, is it just you or are other people having the same problem? Then you check the physical stuff. Is the cable plugged in? Then move on up the stack. Do they have an IP address? Can they ping the gateway? Then maybe it's DNS or even just the browser itself. Walking them through this layer-by-layer approach is exactly the kind of logical thinking they want to see. And here we are at the end of the interview. You've made a great first impression, you passed the people test, and you showed them your tech logic. This final part is where you can go from being just another good candidate to being the person they have to hire. When they ask, so why do you want to work here? They're checking to see if you've done your homework. So show them you have. Talk about the company's reputation, its values, or a product of theirs you really admire. Express a genuine desire to grow with the team. This shows you're looking to build a career and contribute, not just looking for any old paycheck. And now we've reached the final moment. The interviewer leans back and asks, so, do you have any questions for us? The absolute worst thing you can say here is, nope, I think I'm good. This is your single biggest opportunity to stand out from the crowd. Having good questions shows you're serious, you're engaged, and you're truly interested in this role. Here it is, the golden question. The one question that will separate you from 90% of the other applicants. Asking this shows you're already thinking about how to be successful in the job. You're focused on performance, on fitting into the culture, and on crushing their expectations right from day one. The real power of this question is that it completely flips the whole dynamic. You're no longer just a candidate sitting there being judged. You become an active participant. You're now interviewing them to make sure this is the right fit for you. It shows confidence, foresight, and a serious commitment to being a great part of their team. So with this playbook, you're not just walking into that interview hoping for the best. You're walking in with a strategy for every single stage. You have the tools to turn that lack of experience into a showcase of your potential, your logic, and your professionalism. So the only real question left is, are you ready to show them you're not just another candidate, but their next great hire?